this Monday morning.
Listen.
And my goodness, Dennis Aseto is angry.
No, we can't continue like this.
Ooh.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Because, remember, CBC has been there for, how many years now? 7?
This is the 6th year.
This is the 6th year, right?
Yeah.
And with that means in every class, assuming you have...
This is the 7th year. Sorry, yeah.
So assuming in every class you have 1 million students, that means these 7 million students, children of the Republic of Kenya, the entire population have been going through a system that is not recognized by the law.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about. Simply because we have individuals who sit in the National Assembly, whose work is to legislate, to represent, and to oversight. But let's leave oversight. That their job is to legislate and to represent Kenyans, but they're not doing that very right to ensure that even when you're given the 100 million shillings that they rush around giving around as bursaries, right?
Yeah.
That the education system is anchored in law. That failure to do that, you are exposing our children not to be ready citizens of the world. Because we no longer just talk about Kenya. Because we have Kenyans who are working outside this country by virtue that they performed very well in their education and have been recognized out of the country.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about 7 million people that cannot speak on that level outside the country simply because we messed up the education. And here we are saying, tunataka Singapore gani, even Mombasa utafika.
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're not getting outside the borders of this country because you've messed up the education. It can't be that the people who come to our spaces every day to tell us that CBC is working, their children are not in that CBC. It can't be that today people who are telling us CBC has capitation, their children are not in these spaces where Kenyans every day complain that things are not working. Because you talk about over 700 billion shillings that has been set aside for education. But today, if you ask yourself a question, show me 700 billion shillings in education sector, and I will clap for you. Because I can't see it. If we have debt of 65 billion shillings, where is the 625 billion shillings then? It is by design. The question is, who stands to benefit from Kenyans
Absolutely.
not being given the quality education they deserve?
Absolutely.
That's why
and that's the thing. That's the thing.
Every other time.
Yeah.
We'll bring in foreigners to build our roads. We'll bring in foreigners to build our ports. We'll bring in foreigners to build to build a building in a university that has engineering students, including lecturers, to bring up a building.
And now, I used to see it, maybe even as late as yesterday. I used to see it as, okay, we've not printed books. And so that's the issue. I used to see it like, okay, we've not sent enough money. Perhaps that's the problem. I used to see it like, okay, well, maybe we've not trained enough teachers. Maybe we need more teachers. We've not hired enough. But then I just had a eureka moment where I said, you know what? All of these things, it's not possible that all of these things have happened year after year after year in the same manner. Meanwhile, in your legislative body, which sits in Parliament, at the National Assembly, you've got committees of people who sit. You have people who then should actually be going and legislating on these things, but it never happens. It's insanity that you, year after year, you're dealing with this thing. Dear Mr. President, whether it is the president who sits today, and that's the thing about this Dear Mr. President session, because we're talking about Dear Mr. President today, Dear Mr. President of the last administration, Dear Mr. President of the administration before that, we know you're the one who said, okay, fine, free education, open it up and let it happen for Kenyans. But it is very clear to me in my mind, it's going to probably take a lot to, is it possible to unconvince somebody? It's going to take a lot to unconvince me that this thing is not by design. Because you can see the rationale in heavy development infrastructure. You can.
Yeah.
You understand? You can see why it's necessary to build a highway from here to here. You can see why it's necessary to move goods from one place to the next. You can see why it's necessary to build a link road. You can see why it's necessary to operate and build corridors from one country to the next. You can see the necessity in all of these things. But the same mind cannot see the necessity in educating properly your children. That's when I said, that's not true. They can actually see the necessity. But this thing is by design, and that the external party is playing here as well. That you can see the necessity, but you choose not to do it the way in which it ought to be. There is a greater agenda underfoot. To keep the people of this nation and this continent undereducated, there is somebody who benefits from it.
True.
Can you imagine if the people of this continent that everybody is romancing and saying, Africa is my next girlfriend, Africa is my this, my that, but the people do not have the wherewithal here to then to be able to insist on certain things. It's by design, my friend. That I know what to do in order to keep you just in the corner, speaking up when necessary. This is a serious conversation that we need to be alive to certain realities, because to me it's very simple. If you wanted to empower your people through this thing where an equalizer has been set in terms of president to make sure that your people were actually educated, to move them to the next spot, you would. Because you don't, that means you don't want to. So you'll come and tell us there's not enough money. You'll come and tell us that, oh, we tried. You'll come and tell us that the last administration. But guess what? Administration to administration, we've had the same problem.
Yes.
So it is something that has been designed to be. That's why you only have a few who are able to, your top light and your bottom heavy. The thing will collapse. What do you expect? Top light and bottom heavy. Tell me what that picture looks like. So, if in this room we call it out, there's a problem.
There is a problem.
And it is not entirely of your own doing, of your own making, but you're participating in this game. You're participating in this game. And remember, I didn't say uneducated. I said undereducated. Because we are keeping you just there. Just there, so that you don't speak out too much. After all, if you can count and do 1 to 10, if you can read a sentence from here to there, if we can get away with just 30%, then your problem. That's why we now start saying, you know what, we are competing. We are competing with issues. Our problem is not a superhighway. Our problem is drinking water. Can you imagine? That's now the game that we are playing, when we should be moving beyond that. There are people who are, it's by design. And like I said, today I die on that sword. If he wanted us to take calls from people, which we will do, but it is necessary for us to say these things that we are saying this morning. That here we are saying, you know what? We can shout, you can complain. You can say, oh, they needed us to add another 30,000. So now you, as a parent, you're thinking, where do I find that 30,000 shillings so that my child can continue in school? Instead of having a conversation around how will we contribute to a better society? Do you understand? That self-actualization in a lot.
So, I hope umesikiza hizo two videos very, very well. Okay? So, mimi ushinda nikiwaambia, there is a radio station nasikizaga inajitaga Spice FM. And Spice FM is one of the best radio stations unaweza sikiza hapa Kenya if you really want to get information ambayo itakufungua akili na ifanye understand vitu on a deeper level. So, vile nimetoka kuwaambia wadau, this thing inaanza kutoka pale chini. When you see our women being exposed to all these things and being taken advantage of raisily, it's cause from pale chini mahali huo mtu alianzia, alikuwa broken kitambo sana. Alikuwa broken, morals zilitupo nje kitambo sana. So unasikia, it is by design. Watu saa hii wamekaa hivi, wameangalia, wakaona watoto wa Kibaki vile wamewasumbua. Wameona vile Gen Zs ambao wanaitwa watoto wa Kibaki vile wamewakalia kimabavu, wamewakimbiza mbio. So what they've decided is this. They're going to make sure that we are going to be having an educated children. Tutakuwa na watoto ambao hawezi elewa kitu yoyote. Ndio maana wanakuja na curriculum wanakuambia, bedhera si lazima ufanye maths, si lazima ufanye science. Kwa sababu ya nini? Wanataka ukue mjinga. Wanataka ukue fala pale kwa kona. Wanataka ukue akili yako haina ability ya kureason na kuoperate vizuri, ili it is easy kucontrol. Kwa sababu mtu hajasoma hayuko enlightened. Mtu yuko enlightened anaamini kile mwanasiasa anamwambia. And then you become a good slave. Peace out wadau.